Did you know that if any player takes their helmet off during a game, they have to stop playing immediately? Oh, and the NFL rulebook's got an entire section on socks. The NFL can be crazy with its rules. Here are 10 shocking rules you didn't even know existed. First up is a rule that's even weirder than the tuck rule. Yep, we're talking about socks. In this section about how players should look during a game, there's an entire section on the kind of stockings they can wear and how they should wear them. The NFL wants players to have their stockings covering the whole area from the bottom of their pants down to their shoes. And if they're wearing more than one stocking, the outermost one should be plain old white. Sometimes it feels like the NFL should be called the No Calf League instead of the No Fun League with all these sock regulations. This one might have been funny, but some of them are actually pretty serious. This next rule can get you thrown out of the game. Here's the deal. If a player gets 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in one game, they're out. The whole point of this rule is to keep teams in check if they've already broken the rules. Yeah, there's no messing around with this one. The rule was first put in place in 2016 to prevent excessive celebration and taunting on the field. We all know the NFL isn't a fan of too much fun. So, if a player finds themselves called out for 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, they're out for the rest of the game. It kinda makes sense because this rule ensures that players keep it classy out there. And if you thought that was a weird rule, you aren't prepared for this next one. In the NFL, it's strictly forbidden for players to bat or punch a loose ball towards the opponent's goal line. We call this the illegal bat rule, and it's here to keep the game fair and square. Here's how it works. If a player dares to break this rule, they're slapped with a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. But that's not all. The opposing team also gets to keep the ball, too. This rule exists to prevent any crafty maneuvers where players might intentionally bat the ball in their team's favor. Okay, so if this rule didn't exist, teams would be swatting that ball up the field every chance they got. It's a strange one, but it's not hard to see why. This next rule you might have heard of, but didn't quite understand. And trust me, we don't either. The illegal substitution. It's actually against the NFL rules for a team to have more than 11 players on the field during the play. Sounds straightforward, right? But here's the crazy part. The way teams get penalized for this is pretty clever. Quarterbacks often hustle their teams to snap the ball, while the defense is still in the middle of substituting players, resulting in too many on the field at once. So while the rule itself might seem crystal clear, the tactics used to exploit it can be quite tricky. This rule ensures that both teams have an equal number of players on the field during each play, keeping things balanced. Now we're tackling another rule that's all about fairness and strategy. Did you know that in the NFL, if a team commits multiple fouls on the same play, the opposing team has a unique option? It's called the 1 foul, 1 penalty rule, and it's designed to prevent teams from stacking penalties. Like if the offensive team commits both holding and a false start on the same play. Instead of having to accept both penalties, the defense can decline one and enforce the other. They get to choose the penalty that works to their greatest advantage. It's a strategic move that adds an extra layer of complexity to the game. We can't really complain about this one though, since it makes the game more interesting to watch. Now, remember the helmet rule we mentioned first? Well, it might be more accurate to call it the Emmitt Smith rule, because it all started with this guy. NFL players can't take their helmets off during a game, not even to celebrate a touchdown. It all started with former NFL running back Emmitt Smith. After scoring a touchdown, he'd take off his helmet, ensuring that the cameras caught his face. It was a smart marketing move and didn't really hurt the game in any way. But while fans got to see the face of one of their beloved stars, the NFL didn't care, and they straight up put it under unsportsmanlike conduct. Speaking of touchdowns, sometimes they can even be illegal. You're probably aware that if a kicker boots the ball out of bounds, the play is over. But what about when a player steps out of bounds and then returns to catch a kickoff? Well, if an NFL player fields a kick after stepping out of bounds, it's considered an illegal touch. This means the ball is instantly dead at the spot where they stepped out. The receiving team faces a 5-yard penalty from that spot. And here's the twist. If the player who touched the ball is from the kicking team and stepped out of bounds before the touch, the same penalty applies, but the receiving team gets the ball where the touch occurred. And it gets even more confusing. If the ball already crossed the goal line before being touched by an out-of-bounds player, it's a touchback. The receiving team then starts at their 25-yard line. Yeah, the NFL can be a little hard to keep up with sometimes. Let's look at those crucial goal line plays and the rule change that allows reviews for all scoring plays. It's a step in the right direction, but there's still room for improvement. And it often puts NFL officials in a tight spot during the most crucial moments of a game. In cases where the officials rule a player down before crossing the goal line, the coach has to start a review, even if replays clearly show the ball crossed the line. The whole point of replay is to make sure we get those scoring calls right. So it makes sense to check out any play that might end up as a score, not just the ones initially called as such. Now, some people worry that reviewing every play could slow down the game. But it's totally possible for officials to look at multiple angles before the next play even starts. The NFL took a step forward with this one, but there's still room for improvement to make this rule just right. And if you agree that replays are necessary, make sure to like this video and click on that subscribe button. Now, here's a rule that seems to have gathered dust over the years: the touchdown kick. Once upon a time, after scoring a touchdown, it was customary for the scoring team to kick the ball off to the team they just scored on. Believe it or not, the rulebook states that the team that got scored on gets to decide who kicks off next. But let's face it, there's no good reason to choose kicking over receiving after a touchdown. Back in the day, teams used to gather at center field after every touchdown to officially request the kickoff. Nowadays, it's an unspoken tradition left in the dust. The next thing is against the rules, even though it happens all the time: illegal pushing in football. Okay, so there's a rule that says you can't push when you're on defense, but it's not the same like when you're on offense. You know those moments when a player is just about to score or get a first down, and a big teammate gives them that extra shove to help? Well, it's actually against the rules, even though it happens all the time. But here's where it gets weird. The rulebook gives an example that makes you wonder, is it a penalty or a touchdown? If the rule says it's not allowed, why don't referees call it more often? And why does it get called in special team situations when players are trying to block a kick? It's confusing, to say the least. These were some of the shocking rules you didn't even know existed. And if you want to learn more about the NFL, make sure to click on this next video.